Yeah, so we're just out here doing a little bit of full-size handgun practice. Oh, Wombat, where's your full-size handgun, bud?
Well, some of them are at home in the safe. One of them no longer exists.
Oh yeah, that's right. That whole M&P shit that we're talking about.
Yeah.
What's up with that, by the way?
Well, the situation is pretty much getting resolved. After a little over a month and a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, basically what happened is the insurer for Fitz Munition Works is going to cut me a check for replacing the pistol and the cost that I paid for the ammunition. Smith & Wesson offered me a pretty slight discount on a replacement, and basically once they got it back said that the ammunition was the problem. So really, as far as that goes, my hold times and things weren't too bad, and I didn't speak with anyone who was rude or incompetent or anything like that over at Smith. So they didn't do too bad on the customer service end of things. Yeah, I think they could have just replaced it at no cost. Really, just considering how rare it supposedly is for that sort of thing to happen. But a couple of things that I want to clarify, because there were all sorts of comments, but the people who said that if I was not using the remanufactured ammunition, I would have got a replacement, that is not accurate. It seems to me, at least from my experience, that Smith's policy on that is if they determine something wrong with the gun is caused by any ammunition, original or reloaded, anything like that, they're not really interested in accepting any responsibility for it. So the people that said if you weren't using reload you were okay, well, that's not how it went down. I think that they could have a little bit more of a customer-centered policy on that, where they would take care of me, and if they want to recoup their loss on replacing a pistol, they could seek out the ammo manufacturer themselves. But that being said, everything did eventually get worked out, and it was not too big a hassle to get taken care of. Yeah. The other thing that Smith & Wesson did do for me is I did ask to upgrade to the core version, the competition optics ready equipment version of the M&P Pro Series. So they are going to do that for me at the original price that they quoted me for a replacement. I did have to kind of talk them into that a little bit, but they were willing to do that for me. So I did get some extra accommodation from them, and that was pretty nice that they were willing to do that. So that's basically where we're at. I'm getting a new gun. I have no idea how long it will take to come in. It could ship tomorrow. It could ship 6 months from now. I honestly don't have any idea what the time frame is going to be on being able to do a review for you guys on the M&P Pro Series core. But the situation's been pretty much taken care of.
Right, and I just want to remark a little bit about people in the comment sections being pretty
nasty.
Pretty nasty.
I did not expect that response on the video at all.
We are all on the same side, guys. You need to check yourselves a little bit. Wishing for the dismemberment or otherwise injury of a fellow Second Amendment supporter is just bad form.
And a lot of that happened. It wasn't just one.
We never said that we were going to sue Smith & Wesson. We never had any intention of taking any legal action against anybody. We never said that. You can follow the links in the description to the original video, and I dare you to. We really made no determination in the original video, but I would like to talk about a determination that I've come to as far as talking with a couple different gunsmiths who have had some time on damaged M&P pistols and really discuss how I think that this kind of went down. And I'm going to use my Glock to basically demonstrate this. So obviously this weapon is clear. So what you have in semi-automatic pistols that are of the striker's fire persuasion is your locking lugs are located up here on the weapon, and the chamber locks into the slide like so. Now what I think has happened is this ammunition was slightly out of spec, making them slightly larger, at the rear, slightly out of spec or just in spec. It caused a stoppage in the gun that caused the weapon to be slightly out of battery. From talking to several gunsmiths, there have been multiple reports of Smith & Wesson products being able to discharge a round when the gun is slightly out of battery. That's the conclusion that I've come to. If you look at the destruction of the brass, when you're talking about a modern handgun and you're talking about modern ammunition, we are talking about a system where the brass case is completely enveloped by steel. I don't care how crappy the ammunition is. I don't care what the casing's made out of. I don't care how many times it's been fired. I don't care what the powder load is. That casing is completely surrounded by the chamber of that firearm, as long as it's operating properly and is built properly. That casing is designed to expand to meet the dimensions of that chamber. The chamber of that weapon system was in no way damaged by that action. You can see clearly, if you look at the original pictures that we posted everywhere, that the sidewall of this was blown out. And we didn't get very good pictures of it because it was very difficult to, but if you reflected the weapon and looked down in there, you could see the entire bottom half of the casing, except for what was shrouded by the top locking lug, was completely destroyed. It was completely gone, blown out. What that tells me is that when that round discharged, there was an unsupported section of brass. And by unsupported, the only way that a modern quality built firearm like a Smith & Wesson gun could possibly have unsupported brass is if it was out of battery. If you look at the Glock automatic pistol, this is one thing I really like about this particular firearm. They do a very good job. You know my criticisms of Glock, guys.
Mine too.
you know my track record on that. When this weapon retracts, as soon as you draw that back slightly, you can already see that chamber starting to drop. So the gun will still fire here. It will still discharge around. As soon as you get to here, you've completely dropped away. That is the diameter right there of a primer. That will not strike a primer, and it's also out of headspace. You can see that there's a slight separation in the distance between where the firing pin would be and where the chamber is, as far as this distance this way. So there's no way that can be struck, and you can even see that after you get to a certain point, we can hear you can hear the firing pin drop. If we take it slightly out of battery, you don't get a firing pin drop. So even at that point, you no longer get the forward movement of the striker. So, in my humble opinion, what I believe has happened is we had slightly in spec or slightly out of spec ammo, something on the edge of spec that caused a stoppage in the firearm. The firearm was able to discharge while slightly out of battery, causing a catastrophic failure of the case because of an unsupported chamber. That is my humble opinion. Based on the things that I see from the initial photographs and actually handling the gun itself, that's the determination that I make as a scientific individual. All that said, Smith has made the determination. We're going to roll with what they've said. That's the direction, and that's where it's going to sit as far as all that sort of stuff. You are the people, you are the consumers. You need to make the decisions as far as whether that's valid or not. But that is my perspective, and I believe that Senor Wombat here also...
I'm inclined to say that something had to have been unsupported, slightly out of battery, to the point where just looking at the rear of the pistol, I couldn't tell that it maybe was out of battery, otherwise I wouldn't have fired it. But yeah, I don't know. It sounds like, since it was remanufactured ammo, we could have had thin brass there too, because if you'll look at some videos on the Remington R51, When it fires out a battery, the brass just bulges. It does not actually break. So that would lead me to believe there's something wrong with the ammo in that case, being either the brass or the load. Yeah, because usually the case does not blow out even if a firearm does fire out a battery.
Correct. But we also have no idea how supported that chamber was in that particular firearm as well. I don't know what I have not compared side by side the chambers of the R51 and the full size M&Ps. I don't think that they're even comparable because they're different classes of firearms.
Yeah.
But that said, you can clearly see that there are instances in the industry of firearms designs being made where weapons can fire out of battery. I've heard it from multiple gunsmiths that I trust. Personally, I only have handling experience with a couple M&P firearms. The one in question is one of them. I have a few other ones that I got to use, but those are my experiences. I went to individuals who have a lot of time on those firearms on a daily basis and got my information from them. There are cases. Remington is a quality manufacturer of guns. They put out the R51 that is quite capable of firing, as demonstrated by the Military Arms Channel, correct?
And Tactical Existence, another gentleman who had one. It's a little bit smaller channel.
Tactical Existence. He's a solid guy too. I met him at SHOT Show. Both solid individuals. Do great reviews. Have the utmost integrity. Met them both. I fully trust their opinions on those particular firearms. You can see that there are quality manufacturers that produce firearms that are capable of things that they're not supposed to be capable of, especially when the attrition rate is to get it out as fast as you can to capture the market, especially when you're looking for things like trying to capture SHOT Show and stuff like that. So, once again, I'm not trying to blame Smith at all. I think that this is a perfect storm where bad ammo or less than great ammo and perhaps a small tweak in the design that was never really fully evaluated came together, caused an issue. Do I think that this is necessarily a lose for the Smith & Wesson product? No.
I'm getting it replaced. Like I'm getting a check sent to me. I could choose to purchase another firearm if I wanted to. I have decided to continue with Smith & Wesson.
Right. So that's the determination that we've come to.
I'm not a Smith & Wesson hater.
Right. So all that said, that's where we stand on the current affairs with the Smith & Wesson product. Really wish we had it here to show it to you guys. It'll be here.
I have absolutely no clue. It could be next week. It could be next year.
We will be doing a full review on that weapon system when it arrives at the VSO compound. Until then, guys, that's the scoop on the M&P Pro Series that blew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's where we're at. So, thanks for watching. Trolls fed.